The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel and podcast. We are here. We have came straight over to the studio, tackled the flyover in Gateshead, which nobody wants to hear about. Newcastle United are on the back of a 4-0 victory. I am your host tonight, Chris, joined by Nickel and Dasmo. Boys, Dasmo, I'm going to let you do it.
Me?
What a pleasure this week.
Right, okay.
It's been a long time as well.
It's been a very long time. Years already. We're 1 year now.
Yeah.
Hey.
That was a bit better, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's more like it.
So much
I think we've got to throw in there before we even get started that, yes, we're no against Leicester. We're not going at this one saying we're back. Newcastle United. This is a Newcastle United that we know is there, which it is to a certain degree. But obviously, you can only play what's in front of you, Dasmo.
That's absolutely
and
true.
Leicester stunk St. James's Park out. They were honking, but we'll capitalise on that and we'll run out 4-0 winners. Let's look at the start 11. We'll start with you, Daryl. A couple of forced changes. Obviously, Pope's injured, which means Dubrava came in. Then obviously a change in midfield with Tonali coming in place of Longstaff.
Yeah.
Jacob Murphy starts on the right-hand side once again. Done that in the last handful of games now. Gordon back on his favourite left-hand side as well. So I think we're all expecting... I'm saying expecting a decent performance, but we needed a decent performance, and that's exactly what we got, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the bigger picture. It was basically the Liverpool 11 just minus Nick Pope, wasn't it, really? Yeah. So it seemed to make the most sense. And for all of those of you watching or who listened to this back and were up until just before he scored, screaming blue murder at Jacob Murphy, and I'm including you in this, Mark, because I was as well. I'll hold my hands up and say that. You often wonder about when he's included, just what kind of Jacob Murphy we're going to get. And for that first period of the game, we got the one that we don't like, the one that is the worst of Jacob Murphy. But then he followed it up with two great finishes, and pretty much turned his performance around in the game and went off to a standing ovation, and rightly so. He
did. It's a sort of performance that he's needed, Nickel, isn't it? Obviously, the last game, I'm saying that he got 2 assists last game, so we can't ignore that. He did. But today, I think Darryl summed it up pretty well, is that he didn't have the greatest start to the game.
No.
But capitalised on the chances, which the first goal that he scored, so well placed, really is. Keeper's got no chance. Second one, you've got to give credit Isak, because Isak was top form today, unbelievable form. Every time he got the ball, he was just dancing past defenders. There's one point he had 4 players in front of him, he's just skipping past them all. And sometimes fumbling his way through, but intentionally fumbling his way through, if you know what I mean. And he's putting them on a plate for Murphy. Murphy, he gets a chance before he gets his second. He absolutely smashes at the ball, and the keeper makes a great save, which the referee all of a sudden thought that the keeper didn't get a fingertip save on. I could see that on the other side of the stadium.
And if he doesn't get the save on you, it's a goal.
Yeah.
It is. But it's a good day at the office for Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, so as you said, he started the game and he was giving the ball away a couple of times, wasn't he? And we thought it was maybe the Murphy that we're more used to. Yeah. But then, he had a good chance just before, which I thought he should have scored with his left foot. But then the first goal was really well worked, clearly off the training ground. So big up to Jason Tyndall for that one.
We've seen that a lot more, haven't we?
Yeah, it was nearly every corner that they were doing that. So it's normally Gordon who takes the corners if they're just putting it in, isn't it? So, but great first goal from him. Really good place in the bottom corner. And then his second one was just a smash. Smash. And Isak's feet were unbelievable. That was him back to his best today. Yeah.
Did you notice that? I think we're going to have to give credit to the likes of the coaches behind the scenes. Jason Tyndall's mentioned there, obviously, a set piece coach. He is, isn't he, these days, set piece coach. Which will try new things. Daryl, we really are trying new things, and we're seeing it paying off as well. There was a couple of chances before we got the goal as well, where you could see there was something that had been worked on beforehand. We're not mentioning Tonali's free kick in that, right? Because that was poor. But it's good to see we're trying things, and it's almost coming off a lot of the time as well.
Yeah, and especially in this situation, this is the perfect time to start experimenting with these routines and using these changes in formation and tactics for these set pieces. And every time that we got one, minus the Tonali one that you've just mentioned, of course, we looked dangerous. And for Leicester, it must have been a complete nightmare, because they must have thought, well, what the hell's going to happen next? How are we going to deal with whatever they throw at us? Because each time it was different. No routine was the same. There was always a slight variation. I don't know how many of those Jason Tyndall has in his little black book of formations and set pieces, but I hope he's got plenty more, because it's certainly causing the opposition problems. And there was somebody near me and not to try and over exaggerate this, but they made the point to me about how Arsenal have currently been so successful with their set pieces recently. And if we can, we have got quite a physical side in some quarters, and we need to be taking advantage of that. And this is the perfect way to do it.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's really good to see. Nicola, let's go through the goals. Okay, so I know we spoke about the first one. Jacob Murphy gets an almost very similar chance earlier on, which he puts well wide, and it's I can't remember who it is fouled on the edge of the box. Is it Bruno that's fouled at the edge of the box? But then he passes it to Jacob Murphy, and Jacob Murphy gets a shot away, but the referee brings that back, and that's when the free kick for Tonali comes, which was horrendous. But then not long after that, it's a similar, obviously, like we mentioned, obviously set piece routines coming into it as well. And honestly, when Jacob Murphy picks that ball, you think, we're just going to get similar to what we got the last chance he got, and he's just going to throw it past the post, because he does it quite a lot where he doesn't miss by a huge chunk most of the time.
He's very good at hitting it well, but missing. Just missing. He hits the post a lot, actually.
He does, he does. But this time, just tucks that in the back of the net. It's a lovely goal. Really
right foot.
Well worked.
It's side foot as well, so he's placed it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The keeper's got no chance, because it's through a lot of bodies as well, with it being from a corner. And I think Gordon does really well to set it up. He goes past the player and then pulls it back for him. It's obviously something they've worked on, so you could tell how buzzing they were that all the hard work had paid off. So yeah. And he enjoyed his celebration in front of the Gallowgate corner.
Absolutely loved it. Apparently he running right in front of me, pointing at his lug, and shouting, "What?" That's what he was shouting. All right, calm down, Jacob.
Calm down.
But yeah, he's shouting "What" at the Gallowgate. Loved it. He did absolutely loved it. And do you know what it is? It's deserved as well. It really is deserved because we know he does get some stick, and some of it
he gets a lot of stick.
He does. He gets a lot of stick, and do you know what it is? A lot of it is based on performances, and he hasn't been great at times this season. But what you do get from Murphy, you get everything from him. He never really goes hiding, even if he has, like you've said, Dasmo, he had a pretty poor start to the game, but never went hiding.
No, absolutely not, and showed face for everything. And to bring it forward from that as well, given how bad the Leicester side were that we played today, is that we should have gone in at half time probably already 3 or 4 up anyway. The next big opportunity was the Isak one, where he was put through by Bruno, and he just, you think, he's one-on-one here, but he just scuffs it. And when that happened, I had a little niggle in the back of my head, and I was just thinking, is it going to be one of them days again?
It's a couple of one-on-ones that he's had. The last, who was the last time we played somebody at home and we took
not the West Ham game?
Maybe
West
might
Ham.
have been. No, it wasn't. It mustn't have been the West Ham. There was a game where we took the lead, then straight afterwards we get an opportunity where it's Isak through on one-on-one. He does the same thing again.
I think Gordon had the same thing against Liverpool as well.
Yeah. And we're seeing it quite a bit with like some one-on-ones where he's like, he's just saying, I'll take it around him. But in that instance, it's the flag for offside anyway, didn't it? When he gets that chance. And there's a couple of moments where, do you know what it is? Bruno was playing the first time ball, which we don't really see from Bruno very often. He was trying it more. He's trying a couple of things where he just absolutely lobs it over the top towards Gordon as well. And I want to talk about Gordon because he was up for that today. Like, he was really up for it. He had defenders' life all game.
I think it was 7 minutes in when he had that first effort.
Yeah, and typical Gordon way, he just runs down that left flank, then cuts in every single time. Yeah. And it was coming off almost every time. Partnership that he's forming with Lewis, and I thought Lewis was fantastic today. Really, really good. Like he just keeps like we're talking about Lewis a lot on this podcast, and it's just how far he's came from when he first arrived at the club. Obviously now he's getting game time, which he wasn't at the very start there. But Daryl, he's sensational, isn't he?
I mean, I was listening to the radio on the way over, and somebody said, and I agree with it, he looked like a proper full international footballer today. And, you know, again, the caveat is this is the Leicester City team that we played today, and they weren't the best, but you can only beat what's in front of you. We're probably going to say that another 4 or 5 times before we finish this. But he looked immense today. And his passing was good. His reading of the game was good. He was intercepting a lot of balls. He was really linking up well with Gordon, as you say, and also with Joe Linton. There was a lot of little play with Joe Linton that was going really well.
A couple of times there was very few and far between where Leicester were having a counter attack, but they kept on lobbing it down that hand side of the field, and Dan Burn was keep running out to fill in that space. Then Hall was dropping in behind Dan Burn as well, which worked really well. Honestly, I thought he had one of his better games for Newcastle.
Some really good defensive recoveries and switching around the positions just to fill in the gaps. Really impressive.
He is, and he's getting involved in a lot more. Like, he really is. He's wanting the ball more. I found it, and I'm jumping quite ahead of a bit, but when Trips came on for Tino, and I thought Tino had a bit of a strange game.
Yeah.
Didn't really stand out with doing much wrong, but there's a couple of moments where he was caught in possession. And
around about the same time as Murphy was in them early stages of the game.
Yeah.
Both gave the ball away a couple of times, and it was really noticeable. And there was a couple of groans from my end of the ground in that Lee's corner. There was certainly a few groans of people, and it was justified as well, because there were situations where you shouldn't really be giving the ball away, and like a pass was too short or it was misdirected and it was letting Leicester in.
Yeah,
people could say it.
No, you're right. But when Trips came on, there's a couple of moments, and I mentioned Mark, and so Trips had loads of space in his right, just in his normal position at right back, and there's a couple of times where Shaw had the ball or Byrne had the ball, and Trips was going, I don't want it. Like, it was strange. You've got all the space in front of you, and he's kept on, I don't want it. When the opposite what you're getting with Tino and Hall at the minute, they constantly want to be involved. It's great. I'm not saying Trips.
I don't know whether it was just because the game was dead.
It was dead. It was not.
So they were just passing it around, weren't they?
Yeah, it was on its arse at that point. Like, Leicester weren't trying.
The last half an hour was just a training. Pass and move.
That's exactly what it was.
I think there was one point towards that as well where there was a little spell of Leicester possession. I'm pretty sure it was the away fans that were all in. When Leicester had the
we
ball.
were as well. We were as well.
Were we as well?
Yeah.
But it sounded like the away fans were also all in. I'm not sure how
what we need to mention as well, because this is when we're still 1-0 up here, is Bruno Gomes. Bruno runs towards the ball, and he gets to the ball first.
Yes.
He knows that if I'm just going to put my toe on this, then do something else. That was probably one of the worst dives I have ever seen at St. James's Park. And Bruno was kicking off about it. And people around me were claiming for a penalty, like people do.
Yeah.
But it was clear to see. He just runs and jumps.
It was different. The people who were sat in my block were all screaming for him to get booked. Everyone wanted him to get booked.
He did not get booked for that.
Yeah.
Everyone was telling him to get up and stop twisting.
Especially with what happened not long after that.
When was almost immediately after.
He could have been sent off in a minute.
He could have been sent off.
Yeah. All right, so we might as well talk about, because I think that is probably the next thing that happens, to be fair, because I'm sure it's not far after it. 39th minute is Bruno picks up a yellow card, and yous are on the fence with this one, aren't you? Is that he could have? Do you think it's one of those decisions, if the ref gives a red, it doesn't get overturned?
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
It could have been a red.
All right, I think the ref makes the right call, even though it took him a long time to make that call.
I agree with that. I think I wouldn't have had any qualms if he'd have been sent off at that point, but I think the yellow was probably the right decision, because when you see it back on a replay, and it's funny that this happened because I was watching the latest episode of the referees mic'd up thing from the last time it was aired a few weeks ago, and they were talking about 2 or 3 very similar decisions to this, and how each one was and wasn't a red or should have been in the cases there were. And for
was that movement that it stood down the shin, isn't it?
And you can sort of tell by that replay, which we looked at very quickly before we started this, you can sort of tell if there's intent in Bruno to do that. He's not intentionally going to rake down the back of the lad's leg.
He's just trying to get the ball, isn't he? So
what could go through the mindset of an official is, I haven't awarded a penalty there, so frustrations are high. Has he then taken this anger out and frustration out on a player? Which
maybe he did. Maybe.
Yeah, he probably did. Bruno, of course he did. Yes, we know last season he went X amount of games without getting the yellow card and the suspension.
He's just pissed off he didn't win the coin toss again.
Oh, honestly,
don't get it.
No,
I think he was arguing with himself afterwards. He was walking back to the rest of the lads, shaking his head, going like that.
Can't believe it.
Like it's mental. How like
Someone
one
teach him
one
Edson
coin
Tales,
toss,
well.
you know.
Should we get Jason Tyndall to do like a coin toss training?
Well, do you know how the club do that content where they do
Yeah.
daft little games? It should just be a half an hour of Bruno just trying to win a coin toss.
Yeah.
That's what it should just be.
That'll
But
work.
do you reckon he's just as bad as rock paper scissors? Is what he's like. Maybe we should flip it. We'll just do
Yeah.
flip it coin toss.
Hey.
We'll just do rock paper scissors with a
Aye.
player. See if he's any better at that. It's mental.
Or you should just
Mental.
go. You should like say like Dan, but Dan, what am I going to call for this time? And then they can just pass the blame on.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But we'll go in 1-0 up
Yes.
at half time. Completely dominant performance, I would say. At Leicester, I think we were talking about this, Nickel, on the way over there. Once we get that first goal, Leicester's game plan's completely shot to bits, and they're going to have to try. We did not know that they changed their goalkeeper at half time until about 10 minutes ago.
Eagle-eyed Dasmo here.
Yeah. So he brought on Danny Ward for what was his name again? Mads something.
I'll just let Chris
Whatever,
get it up
yeah.
on that.
No idea.
Whatever. But yeah, he changed the keeper at half time, and I do actually feel for Danny Ward in all this because he had a hell of an introduction to a game as a sub goalie.
Conceding 3 like that.
3 goals like that, and to concede 2 in as many minutes as well in the manner that they were conceded.
Yeah. That was obviously the worst possible start for them and the best for us in that second half, wasn't it? Because
Absolutely.
they were time wasting in the first half, weren't they? From the kickoff, really.
Yeah.
Hermansen, that's what he's called.
Hermansen,
Hermansen.
Yeah.
He was replaced by Danny Ward, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were time wasting for all of the first half, even after the first goal.
Yeah, because did he have like Vestergaard or somebody taking his goal kicks for him?
Yeah, so they would pass it to each other, and
Yeah.
then because they're trying to play out from the back, aren't they? Which I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Well, they're not
But
good enough to
they
do
were
that,
trying
but-
to, they were trying to pass out from the back, but then I kept on going back to the keeper, and the keeper was just pinging off to the right hand side.
Yeah.
And Lewis Hall was like, "Thanks very much." Like
they don't have a
picking up-
target man
Yeah.
either, so I don't know what they're trying to do there. but-
Speaking of likes of players that you would have up top, how well did Dan Burn do against Jamie Vardy? Jamie Vardy didn't get a sniff today, and I'm always quite weary of Jamie Vardy because we know that he tends to score at St James's Park. He equaled the record, didn't he, at that time
Yeah,
at
he
St
did,
James's
yeah.
Park? Was it 11 games in a row, something daft like that?
Yeah. And we talked about it on the preview as well, about how we were actually quite concerned about how he'd sit on the last man and how he could target either Shea or Burn.
Especially with the lack of pace that we've
with the
got.
lack of pace that we have. It was one of the things that we actually thought that they would really target, and to be honest, they didn't.
I think there was only one moment where if Burn wasn't as tall as he is, but he is, he headed it, and then otherwise he would have been in. But yeah, it was pretty easy for him, I think, wasn't it? He was very isolated.
So yeah, they do change the goalkeeper, and what a horrible start that he has, Dasmo. And do you know what it is? This is why people on the concourse just get your drink and just neck it
and come back,
because the amount of people that missed not just one but both of those goals was criminal today. It was criminal. But we'll get the free kick. It is just after the second half starts. Gordon dinks it, doesn't he? And Lewis Hall hits it back across. I think it is.
Yes.
Bruno. I just want to say I'm sorry, Bruno, because earlier in the first half I looked at Mark and I said, "Can we stop putting Bruno at the back post?" Because he kept on missing headers left, right, and centre. But he comes up with the goods, and it's a nice little finish. Can't really miss, like, but it's a nice finish.
No, it is, and you know they spent a pretty long time looking at this for an offside, and at one point I genuinely thought, you know, I needed to see some sort, like, obviously because where I am, there's access to a screen and match control basically behind where I am.
I'm in match control.
But you couldn't really see it properly, and I was desperate to just try and see that so I could tell if he was onside or not. But he was actually being played onside by one of the Leicester defenders when the ball came back across from home.
Bruno, absolutely. How many celebrations did he do? You would have seen. You were close at your end.
I was too busy celebrating myself.
But Bruno's needed a goal as well. Is that his first this season?
It might be.
I might be completely wrong, but there's nothing else that stand out for Bruno scoring this
He likes to
season.
go against Leicester, doesn't he? He scored that.
He does. Aye, he does.
Yeah.
People that are watching live, let us know if Bruno scored this season. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm struggling to think of a game. that he
Forest
scored in.
away? No, am I wrong on that? No, probably wrong.
No, I don't think he did. No.
That was last season.
Everybody scored last season, didn't they?
Anyway, yeah, it's good for him to get a goal because, you know, we need our midfielders to be chipping in with some goals because we can't just leave it to Isak, even though he's doing a good job of it.
It's nice of him to be getting a product playing in that slightly advanced position in midfield that he's playing in at the minute as well, because yet again Sandro was just the boss in the middle. He ran that game again.
So calm, isn't he? So calm.
Passing as well.
I've mentioned this before. What I love about Sandro playing in the middle in that position, that he's just, it's all 1-2 touch with Sandro. He doesn't just dig about on the ball, and he just pass and move constantly. Then he doesn't Do you know what? Sometimes you ask him that he follows that run in, but sometimes he just pass moves and just stops a little bit and let everybody else push forward. I would like to see that a bit more, but he's just such a nice player to watch, isn't he?
Very much Rolls Royce. Like, you could just see how, like, cultured, let's say it that way, how cultured his passing and his feet are, his movement. There was one point where he actually nearly got dispossessed on the edge of the centre circle, and he just recovered himself straight away and actually got rid of the ball out to Tino, I think it was at the time. And you know, he was one of the other ones linking up well with Hall on and Gordon on that side as well. They were really doing some good work together, and he just looked so assured. And it's nice to see. It really is.
Yeah, I think that position in the middle is his now, isn't it? Over Bruno, I think, because Howe was trying to put him a bit more.
Tried advanced. A few things, haven't we?
And I think it's now him in the 8, and then Bruno on the right, and then Joe Linton on the left. I think that's what he'll persist with now.
Yeah,
obviously not at Ipswich next week because Joe Linton's suspended now.
Yeah, Joe Linton picked up a yellow card later on, which he was not happy about. He's kicking.
I don't think it was.
No,
it was. Do
you know what I noticed today with the referee? He was taking ages to make a decision. Like he was letting play go on a little bit long.
It's not always he did play a good advantage in the first half.
He did,
but it's not always a bad thing because then he maybe thinks about it a bit more. But
it is. But there's a couple of moments earlier on, especially in the first half, where he awards free kicks to Leicester, but he takes his time to do it. Like he just slows it down a little bit, and we're playing on. Then he brings it back for a free kick, and you think the one where Bruno gets a yellow card, I think it takes a little while to make that decision on that one well.
I think in his fairness, he's trying to do that to try and calm. Like he's trying to bring the temperature of the situation down so that it doesn't spill over into anything else.
Like instantly,
and then it's also a chance for him to bring himself down and make sure he can make and assess the decision properly.
I think the yellow card on Joe Linton, like we've mentioned, he's going to be missing that game there. I was sure. Do we know which games he's missing? Because we always do this.
I think it's just Ipswich.
It's
not the cup one. And Longstaff's out of the cup one. I think suspended.
Is he?
Yes.
Because of cards he's picked up in the cup competitions.
Right.
We think, right? Don't hang out with dry because we think that is it's the most confusing thing in the world.
Please don't hang around to dry like you did with the Callum Wilson stuff in the preview because we recorded that 2 days before.
We'll get it right by the preview. We'll get it right.
We'll get it right. We'll get it right by then. But yeah, it's harsh on Joe Linton. Like you said, he misses that next game, whichever game it's going to be. He wasn't happy about it. He kept on going at the ref as well, and there was just after that, we'll make a couple of subs, and he's straight back over to the ref going, how have you booked me for this? And a couple of Leicester players got away with some challenges.
How he got booked for that when Joe Willock was nearly snapped in half right at the very end.
Lifted, wasn't
he? Ridiculous.
I was worried, like.
Yeah, you always are when Willock goes down. But yeah, so our third goal, it comes just 3 minutes after we're second. 2 minutes. 5 minutes into the second half, and it's Isak. Isak just loves scoring. He hasn't. Do you know what it is? He's had an indifferent season this year. He hasn't looked his usual self, but he's still scoring goals, which is great to see. It really is great to see. Striker. And do you know what it is? I think we'll have to give a lot of credit to Isak because he's got so much pressure on his shoulders right now. We're not really having a backup striker. Yes, I know we've got Sula. I know we've got Sula, but Eddie Howe doesn't really fancy him. Yes, he got minutes today, but I think that was more to rest players as well. But obviously, with the game coming up on Wednesday there, but Isak, Isak's goal. It's a header, isn't it? So it's a header. It's a Lewis Hall that puts the ball into the box as well. A deflection that we've looked at there that comes off Cody.
Yes.
But that's 3-0, and you're thinking high and dry here. Just take us home.
It is. It gets to that 3-0 point, and then you just see the look on the Leicester defense's faces, and they just think, "Nah, game's dead." And to be honest, that was the way I felt about it. As soon as the second one went, I was like, "We need a third, and it'll kill the game completely, and we'll be absolutely fine." Because you know what it's like at 2-0 if they can pull one back, and all sorts of stuff can happen. But
it's long or count about 3,
yeah. That third goal just killed the game completely.
After that, it's just more dominance, isn't it? And the game, I'm not going to say it goes flat because it doesn't go flat because we're still pushing at this point, and Jacob Murphy gets his second of the game, and it's once again it's Isak again that's just constantly running at defenders. He didn't give them a second to breathe all game, just constantly bombarding them, and there's a chance just before Murphy gets his goal, which is one where the keeper tips it over, which once again we mentioned that the referee and linesman didn't think that the keeper was anywhere near it, and he gives a goal kick at this point. It's a decent save because Murphy, when he hits a ball, it stays hit a lot of the times. Like,
he's got a good shot.
So that first one, which is tipped over, players aren't happy with that. Then he gets a chance not long after it as well, and once again, just absolutely rifles that. Like,
rifles it in the bottom corner, and that more just cemented the game even more, didn't it? Just killed it even more. But Isak's feet for that, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's why he's obviously a striker, but I think that's why he's also classed as a bit of a forward as well, because he can do that sort of that silky play. That was more like what we seen of him last season and when he first came to the club, wasn't it? Really. So yeah, his output's really good this season, and we need it to be because we don't really have a viable option at the moment. Hopefully Osula can get some more minutes now.
Dangerous though. It's dangerous territory that we're in now. Obviously, we know Wilson is out for
2 months ish.
Like we just don't know. It's one of those things where we know obviously recurring injuries with Wilson. We're saying 2 months now. It might be the rest of the season. We know how it can be. And it's a lot of pressure on Isak that to stay fit. Really is.
Especially because they're probably not going to sign someone.
100%. No, of course not. Of course not. And if you were going to sign somebody, it's not going to be somebody that's world class or a top talent really. This is
probably the time where you're going to see how much Osula is made of, because he's going to have to now, and he has done for a little while now, where he's sat and he's effectively been classed as third choice, but he's been unrecognised by Eddie in this situation, and now he is going to be effectively second choice. Even though I think you'll probably want to put Gordon through the middle before he has to use him, but as the situation as we are now is we need to rest those players, and Osula is going to get his chance, and he was in the fortunate position to get 20 minutes today because of the situation that the game was.
As soon as you knew that, as soon as we scored the fourth, you knew for fine well that things were going to change.
Well, I wanted him to start bringing off the big hitters. So I was like, right, take them off. Wednesday night's it's one of the biggest. It's the biggest game of the season. I'll give it the minute.
Yeah, it's a huge game coming on Wednesday, and obviously when you're that far in a game and you think, right, there's no way from what we're seeing from Leicester today, they're not getting any. They didn't even get close. No. Desmond, what they get? One shot at goal,
one shot on target in the whole game.
Yeah,
4 in total,
which was a half-hour shot to be fair. Anyway, I think Dubravka just picks that up. Sorry, he picks it up. It's across the deck, isn't it? And he just pushes well to keep a hold of it. Yeah. But the game itself, a couple of the players I want to mention is Barnes. Come on. Barnes, he was trying his hardest to grab a goal. There's one which is unbelievable, like so close, where he snaps at it and it just goes to the keeper's left, just by the post there. Then he gets another one that's just straight down the neck of the goalkeeper as well. He's trying his best when he came on. I thought a couple of the when the subs came on, I think it was just to see the game out. You weren't going to get that impact that you get when you're chasing a game or when you're drawing a game. It was just a strange game for a substitute to come on to, because I think it was just more of getting minutes in the legs really at this point.
Especially for like Willock and Osula, because they've hardly played recently, haven't they? And I think Willock's he's always carrying a bit of a knock, isn't he? So
I think we had like demoralised the Leicester players so much that when Sean Longstaff came on, he had loads of time.
On that right hand side.
So much time, and he was able to just move around the pitch without any sort of trouble coming his way whatsoever.
Yeah, he did. He had loads of time on that right hand side. It was, and he's just picking the ball up and running with it. To be fair, and do you know what it is? I like Longstaff. I like Longstaff. So I was glad he got some minutes, because I think if we hadn't been so far and advanced in the game, I think he would have probably kept with the same midfield throughout the game.
But saying Willock, maybe
possibly, possibly. You mentioned Willock, and for that tackle to come in when you're Leicester are 4-0 down at this point, and that challenge comes in, he goes flying in to Willock, and you're thinking, mate. Like,
I mean, the previous 5 or 10 minutes had just been us passing the ball around and then passing the ball around. And then the second we get down that side, and I think, was it number 5 came in and just like snapped him in half?
That was the only bit of fight that they showed this afternoon.
Frustration, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think we've just been all in at that point.
Because they were absolutely... Like, do you know what it is? And yes, we've mentioned a couple of times, you can only beat what's in front of you. Of course you can. But Leicester were bad.
They were really bad.
Yeah,
they're destined for relegation.
Yeah, they're the worst team we've seen at St James's this season, I think.
Yeah, I think,
apart from Newcastle against West Ham.
I think the way they've changed the manager at the time that they have, and to go with someone with such little, and I know he was at Man United and all that, but for someone with such little experience, it's really
as a manager,
and it's a bold move.
It seems like it's more like a give them the job to rebuild next season to get them up again, because it's not a temporary contract, is it? He's there.
No,
he's the permanent man. Yeah,
so he'll probably go down with them and then try and bring them back up.
Boys, that's exactly what we needed, though. We needed that sort of result and performance.
Yeah,
we needed both at the same time, not just one or the other, which we have been having so far this season. We needed both. We needed 3 points. We're desperate for the 3 points because I'm not going to say there was a huge gap in opening, but you could say, obviously, I know we're still in the bottom half of the table. Yeah, we're sat in 11th, I believe now.
11th,
but obviously, points on the board are crucial. They really are crucial, as well as the performances. And we saw both of them today, which is great heading into the cup game against Brentford on Wednesday night as well. Like you said, Nickel, it's a huge game going forward. Really is a huge game. Just touch on that game. We'll be doing a match preview as well, though. Changes. Are you expecting many changes?
No, I don't think so. I think it would go the same.
I think the substitutions today tell you that he'll try and name as close to the same 11 as possible that started today. And I also think
I wouldn't change either. I think it's fine.
And you've just mentioned there about how good the performance and the result is today. Today is where the hard work starts, because this is now the platform, and now we have to hold ourselves to these standards.
We said that after the Liverpool one.
We did. Look what happened. And again, same opposition as well, Brentford. And this is the start of it, and we have to now build on this. This is the platform, and we now have to go from this point. No going backwards. No,
just maintain it.
Yeah,
just maintain it.
Maintain that level.
With Wednesday being a one-off game, you'd hope that they'll be up for it. Like, surely they're going to be up for it because it's a chance to get to a semi-final. It's obviously going to be if we do get through, it'll be a tough draw anyway. I think the best we could hope for is Spurs, I think. But that's over 2 legs, so you've got a bit more of a chance. But yeah,
that is with it being over 2 legs, you've got a hell of a chance as well. Obviously, especially at St James's Park as well. I think it's always crucial that which fixture you get first, the home or the away tie. I think it's huge when you're playing the.
I think I'd rather be away first.
First, get a point, maybe a draw.
Yeah,
get a draw and then.
But it's great. So Wednesday's game.
Yes.
We're saying same team, exact same team.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, because that's it. I'd argue it's the strongest one now at the moment.
Yeah, obviously
I wouldn't say
with Pope being unavailable.
Pope,
we don't know. He's never anyhow didn't come out and say how long we're expecting Pope to be out for. He said
it's just press reports that have said it could be a month.
Yeah, it is press reports which were rumored a couple of days ago, because I put in the group, didn't I say, well, apparently Pope's in that as well.
Aye.
Which obviously we found out that he is. We don't know how many games he's going to be missing. I don't think we're going to see him on Wednesday. I think you're probably going to hear in the next day or two how long we're expecting Pope to be out for. I don't think it's going to be one game. I think it's going to be what you would probably. It's going to be classed as lengthy spell across the Christmas period. It really is, and it'll be a big miss because we don't know what we're going to see from Dubravka. He had a bit of a poor performances last season. I don't think it was as bad as what some people made out, mind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the blame was in regards to the defence in front of him as well at times. But today he had nothing to do, absolutely nothing. He wasn't tested once.
No.
He had a nice afternoon. You said, Nickel, when we started recording this, any of us could have played a goal.
Yeah, we could have played a goal.
Yeah,
like we could have, like 100%. And it's one of them. But we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Like I said, we will be doing a match match preview to that one as well. So look out for that. I will be back on Monday night with the All Smile and Face podcast as well. So me and I think we've got a full house.
We'll see if Mark's calmed down and see if he wants to shout some more about.
I'll be happy this week. I'll be happy. Well, in fact, sometimes he's too happy. Sometimes, but he'll be happy. And I don't think there's going to be much argument. Apparently, Decker put in. You want to see in this because we've got a separate. All Smile and Face WhatsApp group, which would never use, to be fair, apart from arranging stuff. You put it in today. I've got a public service announcement for the podcast on Monday. We have no idea what he's announcing.
Is it about Miggy being do you say it was the second choice? He's the second choice right winger. Is that what he said?
We've got no idea. We don't even know if it's football related. He just put it in. Wow. So God knows. So look out for that on Monday night. Even I'm wondering what this is because it's Decker, so God knows. Maybe he's saying he hates kebab. Like from now on, he's never having kebab again.
Maybe. garlic sauce.
After Canny Chat.
Maybe he's listening to Canny Chat and he's decided he's like garlic bread special, which I'm not happy about. Those lads that were involved in Canny Chat this week.
They've let the side down.
You are very lucky that you're still in the group. But yeah, that is available on video for members as well. Thanks everybody who has been watching this one live. If you are listening back to the audio as well, it means a lot to us. Become a subscriber. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that. While you're there, like the video, it means a lot to us. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member as well. You get extra stuff, access to the Telegram group, early access to a lot of videos as well. And it helps with the upkeep of everything you're seeing right now. So thanks, everybody. See you next time. See the magic works, Dazwell.
We're one, you now.
Get in.